one might argue that children who have their parents have a champion of sorts, in the sense of they have an adult representation, and you've said in your own words as well that this is, in its previous form, was a remit which was an impossible task really for one person to carry out. So was it right that the remit was narrowed?
It sounds very like you've read the Chief Minister's response to my resignation, because he makes those very points. It's an impossible task for one person, and that children with parents already have somebody to fight their corner. I would say, in my experience, parents are coming to me at the end of their tether and feeling they need assistance with guidance through to the to access services, to find the right way through government, or merely to vent at their frustration and disappointment in the situations that they find themselves in, not least the waiting list, the length of time people have to wait to access mental health treatments, and all sorts of provision for services, children, health and education wise. So I would say that might be the Chief Minister's view, and that's why the remit of the role has been clearly defined as for looked after and vulnerable children. I would say that the public out there have wanted and have sought out a champion on a whole wider range of issues for all children, without putting any in a group. And these are issues that affect everybody across the island. And in terms of it being an impossible task, if it's been an impossible task, and it has been quite onerous, it's probably more in terms of hours, time and meetings and letters and really understanding the issues that people are facing. If it's an impossible task, why would you narrow the remit and remove that representation in our Parliament, instead of reviewing the role and perhaps how it could be done more expansively?
I spoke to you some months ago about the report you issued as Children's Champion, and you said then, and it was reflected in your answer just now, that it took up an awful lot of your time. A lot of hours each week were dedicated to this role. Do you feel perhaps you've upturned too many stones? Have you ruffled too many feathers, perhaps?
I think the job as it has evolved in the past year or so, that the job I've been doing definitely is not the job that the Chief Minister wanted me to do. I think that's apparent. In terms of what the island wants and the community wants, that's to be seen. I've certainly been really heartened by all the messages of support, both public and private, that I've been receiving all day. So there's a number of people, I would say, on the Isle of Man who feel that there is a need for a wider remit for someone to champion the issues for children and families on the Isle of Man.
You've met some resistance with some of the work you've been doing in the role. So do you feel that this is a longer undercurrent building up to this than perhaps an isolated incident?
I think I take on board the Chief Minister's response. It's very clear. I think that we just disagree fundamentally over what the role is or should evolve into, and how best to improve the outcomes for all children on the Isle of Man. And I'm certainly not prepared to stop championing the children and families who've contacted me. So I think the only thing I can do is to stand down. And the reason I went public is because I thought I was accepting the phone calls and the recent contacts under false pretences, because I have to be honest with people and say I'm not the children's champion, but in terms of if they want me to take up a particular cause, then I'm happy to do so, not least for the constituents, but for the wider people. And that's because over that time, over the 18 months that I've held the role, I've got a much greater understanding of the issues facing people, and also where to go in terms of which department of government to contact and speak to other people and speak to the political members within those departments to raise the issues and also to look at resolving them.